Hi, I'm Chris Lee, and this is Virtually Speaking. Joining us today is Duncan Wardle. As head of innovation and creativity at Disney, Duncan and his team helped Imagineering, Lucasfilm, Marvel, Pixar, and Disney parks to innovate, creating magical new storylines and experiences. Duncan is a renowned expert in developing innovative, magical brands, engaging stories, and creative experiences that drive results. Duncan is a multiple TED speaker and contributor to Fast Company, Forbes, Entrepreneur, and the Harvard Business Review. He teaches innovation master classes at Yale, Harvard, and Edinburgh University. He has won impressive awards such as an honorary doctorate in business administration from Edinburgh Napier University, the White House American Citizen Award, and the Duke of Edinburgh Award. Duncan's theory of creativity, unique design thinking, creative process, and tools have created innovative business results for Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilms, as well as other Fortune 100s like Pepsi, NBA, NBCUniversal, Coca-Cola, IBM, Princess Cruises, Apple, and many more. So please join me now with the incomparable Duncan Wardle. Well, hello, Duncan Wardle. Thank you for joining me here on Virtually Speaking. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm excited to hang out with you again. I know it's been a little while and we've had a little crazy couple years happen in the last few years. And you must have, as a person who's all about innovation and creativity, really had to get innovative and creative, which I know we'll talk about that. And obviously the world has changed quite a bit. And I'm sure a guy like you has a lot of opinions, I know you do, about where we're headed and what's changed and what's new and exciting. But of course, it's really exciting to have you here. You're an amazing speaker who I've known about for many years and always gets rave reviews. And, being the fact that you were the head of innovation and creativity at Disney, I mean, that right there stops people in their tracks and they say, wow. And, what we're going to do is we're going to learn a lot from a guy who was working at a high level with an incredible company. So tell us a little bit about how that happened for you and you became the head of innovation and creativity at Disney.
Well, it didn't start that way. I started as I was the cappuccino boy in the London office. Used to go and get my boss 6 cappuccinos a day from Bar Italia on Dean Street. And I used to collate 50 press kits. That's kind of what I did. And about 3 weeks into the role, I was told, you are going to be the character coordinator at next week's royal premiere of Who Framed Roger Rabbit in the presence of the Princess of Wales, Diana. I was like, oh, what do I do? They said, well, you just stand at the bottom of the stairs and make sure nothing untoward happens to the character. I thought, okay, can't screw that up. Also, I thought, well, that was the day when I found out what a contingency plan was, simply because I didn't have one. A contingency plan would tell you if you're going to bring a very tall rabbit with very long feet down a very large staircase towards the head of the Princess of Wales, one might want to measure the width of the steps through which the rabbit has to get down before he takes his first step. Roger takes one step and is now hurtling head over feet like a bullet down the stairs towards Diana's head, whereupon he was met in midair by 2 Royal Protection officers, boom, who just flattened him. They just took him out. So
Wow.
there's a very famous picture on Reuters of Roger like this, with 2 Secret Service heavies on top of him, and a little 21-year-old PR guy from Disney in the background going, oh, shit, I'm fired. So I thought, well, I'm not going, there's no point in going to the office tomorrow. I've lost my dream job. And I got a call from Burbank, from the CMO of Disney. I thought, he's going to tell me I'm fired. And all I heard was, that was great publicity. I was like, who knew I could make a career out of this? And so for the first 20 years I got to do some of the more mad, audacious, outrageous stunts and ideas for Disney, Lucasfilms, Pixar, and Marvel, and I had a great time doing it.
That's amazing. So you've really been, that's true. We have to remember that you were involved with the live in-person stunts and events, essentially. So the event planners must really love you when they hear you say that you're going to do things a little differently than most speakers on stage, because you have a real good feel for what audiences need in the live arena. And now I know you've been doing a ton of virtual events as well, and that's your amazing studio. You usually have a cameraman there with you who kind of is over your shoulder or right there with you and looking at the drawings behind you, which, by the way, you drew all those drawings, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, look, let me ask you a question. Close your eyes.
Okay.
How many days are there in September?
30.
How did you know? How did you learn? keep your eyes closed. How did you learn that there were 30 days in September?
There was a rhyme we all had to learn.
There you go. So, okay, you can open your eyes. 30 days has September, blah, 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 and November, all the rest have. Anybody who tells me I remembered it because I'd heard it, you learned that when you were 6. And yet when I asked you how many days there were in September, you'd remembered it because you had heard it. You're an auditory learner. Then you're going to see the other people. Do you ever see anybody go like this? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You don't remember that because you learn by listening. This person, he or she learned how to do the knuckles the day you learned the rhyme, but you don't remember this because you don't learn by doing. This tells me instantly that you learn by doing. About 20 to 25% of the audience, when you ask them this question, they'll say, I remembered it because I heard it. 25% of them will tell you, I remembered it because I did it. 50% of them will tell you, oh no, I could just close my eyes and see a picture of a candle with a number 30 on it. Boom. They're your visual learners. Welcome to the world of why visual.
That's actually what I did, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. Usually the majority of the audience.
I had a tough time with the months. I remember a couple of months ago, I told somebody that a particular month had a certain number of days in it, and I was wrong.
So, and the nice thing is you can customize them for people. So this one was a couple of weeks ago. I did this for Prince William and Kate at Royal Sandringham. I gave them a virtual talk.
Wow.
And last week I spoke to Toyota. And then I'm actually flying down to Cartagena, Colombia, I think it's tomorrow. And this one's for Pepsi. And people love them. They'll take them away with them. People will take pictures with them. And you'll see the visual learners because they'll walk up and they'll be taking pictures of all the tools as I leave the room. So yeah, the visuals are very important. Look, let me be very honest with you. The conference.
Please.
The conference industry, may I,
Yeah.
just for a second. 8:30 till 9 o'clock networking. The coffee's a bit bitter, the orange juice is definitely sour, and the croissants are 2 days old. 9 till 9:15, the sponsor's on the stage and bores the living crap out of everybody in the audience. 9:15, the keynote speaker gets on, running 15 minutes late now, promises time for Q&A, but we ran out of time. We go to a networking break, we come back to the panel of doom. How do you know it's the panel of doom? It's 4 people on sofas, totally ignoring everybody in the audience. How do you know? Stand at the back of the room and at least 30% of the room are checking their email saying, I got nothing out of the panel. We go to lunch, it's yesterday's steak, shrimp and chicken left over from convention services. We come back to a breakout group, always really good, and the feedback you always get, wish I had more time. We come back to after the panel, we finish with one of the beautiful speakers with lovely teeth who bounce up and down a lot and say, life is great, you're great, and everything's great. And you leave inspired and motivated and pumped and ready to change the world. And a week later, somebody says, hey, how was that conference in Chicago? You go, oh, yeah, it was great. What did you learn? Oh, I can't remember anything. That's not fair. These people have given you the gift of time. They've given you a gift of a day. Yes, people want to be inspired and motivated, but what they really want is a set of tools to help them think differently and grow their own businesses. So people say, why do you leave Disney? Are you nuts? Yeah, I'm nuts. But I was there 30 years. I got the bronze Jiminy Cricket, thank you for 30 magical years of service statue. And I thought, ooh, mortality, I'm 3/4 of the way there. But no, there's this monstrous gap in the market, and even more so in a post-pandemic world. We've got the C-suite saying, we must innovate, we must think differently, we must be brave, you must take risks. And all of their employees are going, great, how? And nobody is showing people how. So all I've done is created essentially a toolkit that does 3 things. It takes the intimidation out of the word innovation, makes it easier and more accessible for people, takes the word creativity and makes it tangible for people who hate grey and ambiguity, and there's lots of them. Far more importantly, it makes the process fun. Why is it fun? Because people use my tools 6 years after I've given them to them. That's why it's fun. And why shouldn't work be fun? It's about giving people, and the other challenge is if you ask people, I walk into a room and I say, who here is creative? Less than 3% of the room are going to put their hands. In fact, I did an experiment at a talk recently with a university. There were about 2,500 students in the auditorium, and I brought in one first grade class of little 6-year-olds. And I put them right in the middle. I said, hey, hands up here, who's creative? Me, 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 me. But by the time they're 18, we've been told to draw. The first thing our first grade teacher tells us is, don't forget to color in between the lines. And then, children are super curious, right? They ask why? And then their first grade teacher tells them to stop asking why, because there's only one right answer. And so by the time we're 18, we've probably been told we're not creative so many times that we don't believe we are. There's absolutely no point in me getting a room and telling people they are creative. But if I give them an exercise to do for a couple of minutes, where they can prove to themselves they're far more creative than they thought they were, that's really powerful. And so there's a couple of exercises. There's a really fun one actually. I'll ask people who's creative, 2%. I'll put that, and even when people put their hand up, it's kind of like, oh, please don't let people see me.
Right.
And then you ask, well, who here could draw like Pablo? Actually, do you have a pen and a piece of paper?
Me? Yes.
Okay, cool. Do you believe today that you could draw as well as Pablo Picasso?
No.
No. All right. So, pad, paper, pen. So keep that pad on your knee, not on the desk. I want it lower than the desk. If you glance down once, I will bust you because I can see your eyes right from where I'm looking. You have 30 seconds to draw my face, starting now. Go.
Oh boy.
Ba, ba, ba.
Not going to be good.
Beard, nice smile, beautiful teeth.
Are you drawing right now?
Yeah.
So you're doing it, but you've practiced this.
Okay. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Pens down. Here it is. There you are. Come on. Let's see. Come on. Check it out. See? You can draw like Pablo Picasso. You didn't think you could, but you can. And so everybody gets to leave with their own Picasso, which is kind of fun. But again, it's about proving to people that they're more creative than they thought they were. You've got to start there. Then it's about giving them the tools to do the job. And it's about taking the intimidation out of the word innovation and making it tangible for people. And so I'll have them again. You will never find me on a stage. The cameramen hate me. I have no. So what meeting planners, please. Rounds. Stop using rounds. Why? Why do we use rounds? Because that's the way we've always done it. Rounds are massive barriers to participation and engagement. If I were to ask you, American Idol, Randy, Paula, and Simon, what did they used to sit behind? People would say a table. And then you ask them, hey, what was the role of Randy, Paula? They're a judge. Yep. Don't leave. If you leave your audience on the other side of the table, they would judge the work that's coming at them. And the introverts, on average, in any room, 75% of the room are introverts, 25% are extroverts. And you can't get them to engage because they're safe behind that table. I can triple engagement if I can remove the table. That's number one. Number two, don't set it up theatre style. Why do we set it up theatre style? Because that's the way we've always done it. The Greeks weren't idiots. They set it up as an amphitheatre for a reason. An amphitheatre is a semicircle. Now the speaker is the same distance from every single person in the room, and I can triple engagement. Why do we put the stairs off the side of the stage? Because that's the way we've always done it. Stop! Put the stairs down the front of the stage and invite the speaker to get off the damn stage and engage the people in the audience. I was asked to give a TED talk, and they're so strict, and they said, you got to stay on the stage. I said, well, I like to engage people in the audience. They said, well, you can make them come up. I said, well, that's arrogant. I'll go to them. Thank you very much. And they said, well, you've got to stay on the round red carpet. So what did I do? I went to Target and bought one, and I took it round the room with me. You've got to engage people. They've got to participate. People learn by doing better than they do by listening. And so to give them some tools where, the number one barrier to innovation is I call it our river of thinking. It's our own experience and expertise. And the more experience and the more expertise we have, the more senior we are. But equally, the more reasons we know why the new idea won't work. So it's the classic, no, because we tried that last year.
Right.
No, because that's not the way we do it here. No, because that's not a strategic brand fit. No, because that won't help our quarterly results. No, because, stop with the no, because.
Yeah.
I actually have people I have them do it that way. And I'll ask them, how was that experience? Everybody's going to say it sucked. And if they're honest, they'll tell me it was like business as usual. And then I just twist it. And you watch the energy level in the room just explode. And you see the laughter and the fun and the faces. Then you ask them, hey, how was that? And the first word you're going to hear is fun. Then you ask them, hey, this time, did your idea got bigger or smaller? They're all going to say bigger.
Yeah.
Far more importantly, though, the landing is at the end of the exercise. When you ask them, hey, whose idea was it? You'll all hear them say the word ours. The moment you can transfer that power of my idea to our idea inside a big organization with constituents and clients and hierarchy and approval levels is the moment you actually accelerate the opportunity to get done. But we don't know how to do that. And it's about giving people the tools to do it.
Yeah. And what you just talked about reminded me of one of my favorite parts of your speech where you tell the story of Mr. Disney. And of course, I didn't know the story. And I live in LA. I've been to Disneyland quite a bit, and I've heard some stories about where he was inspired with the architecture and things. But tell us the story, if you would, which is an amazing story. He was a movie maker first, right?
Yep. So This is a genius of a tool to stop people thinking the way they always do and give them permission to think differently. Mastered by and created by a man called Walt. Fantasia, 1940. He wanted heat pumped into the theatre. He wanted mist pumped into the theatre to make it more immersive. The theatre owner said, no, Walt, far too expensive. We would never do that. That's not the way we do it here. So Walt created this tool called What If. Rules, what if? If you were to ask your clients, hands up who thinks they work in a very heavily regulated industry, it's the only one where you'll get 100% response.
Right.
And so Walt simply wrote down the rules of going to a movie theater. I must sit down. I must be quiet. It is dark. I can only watch one movie at a time. I can't take in any outside food and beverage. I must pay to get in. And I, Walt, can't control the environment. Step one, list the rules of your challenge. He did that. Step two, pick one. He did that. And he said, what if that rule no longer applied? So he said, what if I could control the environment? Well, he couldn't. He didn't own the movie theaters. Besides, that wasn't provocative enough. The more audacious your what if statement, the further out of your river of thinking you'll get. So he said, well, hang on a minute. What if I take my movies out of the theater? Well, don't be stupid, Walt. They're two-dimensional. They'll fall over. All right, then. What if I made them three-dimensional? Well, how are you going to do that, Walt? What if I had people in costume play the roles of the princesses and the cowboys? Yeah, but Walt, people can't. Jack Sparrow can't be next to Davy Crockett and Cinderella. People will be immersed in their individual stories. What if I put them all in a different themed land? Oh, wait a minute. What if I called it Disneyland? Boom, we're done here. It's a genius of a tool. It's about listing the rules of your industry, picking one and asking the most audacious what if question. And it will take you straight out of your river of thinking and give you permission to think differently.
Yeah. A lot of my clients say to me that most of the speakers at their event are from within the industry. And this year, we're not going to have a speaker from outside the industry because we're just going to keep it. And I always say to myself, and sometimes I say it out loud, wouldn't it be great to have somebody come in from outside the industry to inspire and have another point of view and to kind of look at things differently?
So, the naive expert. Who or what is a naive expert, and why should you have one in every session you run? They are there because they don't work in your industry. What does that give them permission to do that you can't? They're not there to solve the challenge for you, but they are there because they'll ask the silly question that you're too embarrassed to ask in front of your peers, but the question needed to be asked. They'll throw out the audacious idea ungoverned by your constraints. They're not there to solve the challenge. They're there to say something to stop you thinking the way you always do and help you think differently. And we do some exercises where I'm going to get the audience to do something, and I guarantee you they're all going to do exactly the same, except one person in the room will do something completely different. The point is this, and most organizations don't understand it. Diversity is innovation. If somebody looks different to you, they think different to you. And if they think different to you, they can help you think differently. I tell a story about a cast member called Maggie. She was 78 years of age. We were doing a strategic pricing session. So we had all the EVPs, the SVPs, the very, very important VPs in a meeting. And I brought in Maggie, 78-year-old lady who used to work in our call center in Tampa. She was there because she speaks to the guests 8 hours a day, right? We don't, right? So who do you think really knows what the guests want? And there was something she happened to say at lunchtime that in the next 3.5 minutes came up with an idea that made Disney over $200 million a year in incremental revenue, because she said something different to what we would think. And so it is about, I think, it's about looking outside of your industry for insights for innovation. So for example, there's a tool called Where Else, which is over here. This is about looking outside of your industry for insights for innovation. In 1996, Speedo were approached by the US Olympic Swimming Association and said, hey, make our swimmers go faster through water. Yeah. Okay. So all you do is you take your challenge statement. I've run out of paper. Hang on. Bum, 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 bum. I got any spare paper left here? Hold on a sec. Oh, I got one piece left. So you're only so you need to get one more question. Hang on. So again, it's a super easy tool to use. You put your challenge statement in the middle of the piece of paper. How might we? Always start a challenge with how might we, because you're giving people, even the reductionists in the room, they go, hey, how might I get that done? How might we make our swimmers go faster through water? There's your challenge statement. And you go around and ask, okay, who has already solved the challenge? of moving quickly through water. Okay, well, dolphins, they're pretty good at it, right? Sharks, motorboats, torpedoes, etc. You just go around and so who else has already solved the challenge that I have been tasked with coming up with? And they chose, and then you pick one, and they chose sharks, and they go around and ask, okay, what is it a shark does that allows it to move quickly through water? Well, it has a dorsal fin. A bullnose shark has a very, very blunt nose. It's shaped like a torpedo. And then they noticed on its skin, they have hundreds of thousands of pimples, sharp pimples. So they did some biomimicry on its skin and and they noticed that each of its skin has hundreds of thousands of very sharp pimples, underneath which it contains a microscopic air pocket that it can contain, and it can expand as it wants to increase its surface friction against the water, slow down and turn, such as the swimmer hitting the wall, or it could force all of those air pockets out when it wants to reduce its surface friction and move like a bullet. They borrowed back the underlying principle. They created the suit that you will not remember the name. It was called the shark suit. You will remember what it looked like. It went from Michael Phelps's neck all the way down to his calf. They broke multiple world records in Sydney. It was considered too much of a competitive advantage and too innovative and banned from the future of the sport, but solved the challenge they had by looking outside of their industry for an insight for innovation. Yeah. And so a lot of companies use me as a naive expert. I'd say 35% of my work is giving talks. 30 to 35% of my is actually training people how to use these tools. And then the other third is just actually using the tools to help companies think differently and develop big new ideas.
Amazing. So obviously the elephant in the room is we just are coming out, hopefully here, of a pandemic. You, I'm sure, and I know, have changed a lot of what you do, how you do it, and you see the future very differently than you did a couple of years ago. So tell us a little bit about how you're looking at it now and how you look at the future.
Yeah. Well, March 15th, 2020, I flew into Denmark, Copenhagen, to give a speech. I got off the plane, the Danish Prime Minister was like, I don't think so. You're like, what? So I spoke to 3,000 empty chairs and a camera, and that was the most bizarre experience of my life. Flew back here, hired a couple of kids out of London who are, I like to say they're half my age, and they remind me I'm a third of their age. And I said, take me virtual. And in 2021, we did 223 virtual events around the world. I can speak in 37 different languages simultaneously through an artificial intelligence robot, Swahili, Hindi, Cantonese. You click on your subtitles and Duncan goes. I've done a lot of work now in Verbella and spatial and the metaverse. I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago with a lady from South Africa who reached out to me. She's in Joburg. I'm here in Central Florida. She hands to me a virtual pen with her virtual hand that did not exist. I took it out of her virtual hand with my virtual hand that equally did not exist, wrote on a virtual post-it note in virtual ink, and handed her back the post-it note. So what does this mean for the conference industry? The conference industry is going virtual. There's no question about it for three different reasons. Number one, technology. So these big VR glasses, by Christmas next year, will be a pair of reading glasses. That's going to change everything. So augmented reality. So for example, today, the capital investment strategy to create entertainment for your guests inside what is a very boring ballroom, no, you can have a live fireworks show done by augmented reality. I'll be able to see it. And you want it themed to Disney, you'll be able to do that. So Disney's just, well, I'll come to that in a minute. You've got technology, number one. Number two, carbon emissions. If you believe that companies will fly 500 to 1,000 employees to a conference center in another city 5 years from today, you're nuts. Because anybody underneath the age of 28 is going to say, I'm not coming because of the carbon emissions we're giving away. And then you've got the pandemics, where people haven't been watching since 2005 to 2020, Ebola, bird flu, H1N1, SARS, MERS, and COVID. So guess what? 3 years from now, we're going to have another one. Will it be regional? Will it be global? I don't know. But it will send all of us. Think about our own behavior in 2 years. Restaurants, Uber Eats, supermarkets, Instacart, movie theaters, Disney+, offices, Zoom, gyms, Peloton. We've already started to go. What these lenses, the metaverse, is augmented reality. Virtual reality is the basic. And you put augmented reality on top of that. Then you put artificial intelligence on top of that. Wow. So Manchester City have just filed a patent, and I think somebody should be looking at it for conventions. Why do you fly everybody? And it's horribly. Now, I think this year is the year of live. everybody just wants to hug somebody, right? So you and I are seeing it in the numbers of bookings. Next year, the CFO of the company is going to go, wait, how much money did we spend on that conference last year versus the year before? We'll go virtual this year, thank you very much. Then it'll be a hybrid as we move towards. And people say, well, but lots of people go for the networking. Of course they do. Oh, well, it's not as good in the metaverse as it is in real. No, it's not today. 3 to 5 years, Manchester City are building a stadium in the metaverse, so is the Atlanta Braves.
Wow.
You'll be able to go sit in Cairo, pay $1 to sit at the back of the stadium, $5 to sit on the halfway line, or what you call the 50-yard line, $10 you're sitting on the bench next to your favorite players. Disney, they filed a patent to have augmented reality in their parks within 7 years from today. Today, you have to wait to meet Mickey Mouse, right? You might have to wait 2 hours in the humidity of Central Florida. And by the way, you're from Brazil and he doesn't speak Portuguese. No. These lenses will enable me to have Mickey Mouse come to me at the time I want to speak in Portuguese, right? And so McDonald's Happy Meals, 5 years from now, they won't be plastic toys. You'll choose the character that pops out of your Happy Meal. Who else is in there? McDonald's, they have filed a patent. Now, I'm not quite sure, I don't even think they know how they're going to do it yet, but how might we challenge statement is how might we serve real food in a virtual setting in 10 to 15 years from now? You're like, wow. How cool is this? So if you are afraid of virtual reality, I hadn't been in VR till 18 months ago. I'm in my 50s. I just put a bloody headset on and I went. And it's great fun. It's much more intuitive than you think it is. You don't even need the handsets anymore. You just use your... Check out Virbela. Virbela. It's a great center. You can create your own conference, your own meeting rooms, your own exhibit floors, your own soccer pitches, your own virtual cocktail bar, and little avatars can come from all around the world. And by the way, it's fun. The next set is spatial, and that's where I think it's heading. That's where today the barrier is these big headsets, but it'll be reading classes in less than a year and a half from now. That's going to open up so many new opportunities for the conference market that don't exist today. Today, you can get 300 people in a hall. But no, you could have 3 billion if they were interested in, and you can speak in every different language, and you can have all your superstars who don't want to get on a plane and fly to the other world to give a speech. And so I think it's really exciting. I mean, yes, of course, live will still be there, but make no mistake, get out ahead of it. I'm practicing, in 2020 when they no more live events, right? Did I do any live events last year? I think I did like 10.
Right.
But if I hadn't pivoted, right, I'd have been doing crochets or whatever. So now it's about playing and getting out. By the way, if you're a meeting planner and you have a kid, chances are the kid's got a VR headset. Just borrow it and have some fun. Because that's where the other thing is, the days of the international speaker flying to the other side of the planet, you're taking me out of the market for 7 days. When I speak there, I might not speak the same language that you do. And how many carbon emissions have I offset? I think you'll see more regional events popping up. The international speaker will come in via hologram.
Right.
Not next year, clearly. But as it gets better, that's where I think the industry will head.
Yeah, and it's amazing how quickly the technology is getting better and and just moving in those directions. And the thing I obviously noticed that you might imagine that I did since 2020 is so many of my clients had the speaker that they never would have been able to afford in the past. Yeah. And now they had that person, a major celebrity, a majorly famous person, or a huge best-selling author at their conference as their main keynote speaker, because the fee was 25% less, 50% less than the in-person fee is. So I've actually been working with a lot bigger names than ever, or many more of them than I've ever booked, because my clients are taking advantage of having them virtually. So
yeah, I think the other thing that the speakers you can't get off a physical stage and do the same. Now we're on a webcam right now. I would never be on a webcam if I'm presenting. I prefer to use my own Zoom license, because then I can run the whole show. I can host 2,000 people in it. I can speak in any, but I've got 2 techs who are out the back. Right. And we make it a really immersive experience. It's not you remember Charlie Brown?
Of course.
Remember the principal when Charlie Brown would
walk?
No, stop. Number 1 motto, don't be boring. You may know your stuff, but don't bore people to death with it. If we can pit people into virtual, they do nothing. We push them into the virtual breakout rooms. We bring them back.
Wow.
We give them the virtual boards. We bring them back. So it's you've got to make it seamless for the client. I've built a whole tech team around it. So now the interesting thing is with hybrids, I can walk into a physical audience and ask them a question. Meanwhile, my tech team are polling the people in Zoom who aren't there and asking them the question at the same time, right? And so I can say, hey, 20% of you said, but 60%. And I'll bring a volunteer up onto stage. We'll do a fun activity together to demonstrate it to everybody else. The next volunteer, I'll pull them out from online. It's about making sure that hybrids don't bore the people at home.
Right.
Right. So you've got to get, yes. Yeah. And I just think we're not doing that properly yet, but we could. Technology's there.
Duncan, this has absolutely been eye-opening, fun, amazing, as everything always is with you, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this. There's so much here. We just scratched the surface, obviously. So see Duncan, book Duncan when you can. I can't wait to see you in person the next time you're in the Los Angeles area.
That'll be next Tuesday. I'm in Cartagena, Colombia, Wednesday, Thursday, Monterrey, Mexico, Friday, Saturday. I fly into LA Sunday, and I'm doing a one-day workshop down at the Terranea, I think it's called.
Yes, beautiful resort there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, very nice.
Yes, in Palos Verdes. Awesome. Well, I'll have to talk to you about that offline.
Okay, mate.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much, Duncan.
We'll close up with the lightsaber. Hang on. Got to finish on a lightsaber.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and yes, I will bring it to my talks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Bye-bye.